Thank you very much, Magnus Group. My keynote presentation is prediction and assessment of environmental health impact assessment for the plant science and molecular biological environment. The PowerPoint presentation is as per the following order: abstract, introduction, historical background and literature survey, materials and methods, results and discussions, conclusions, recommendations, acknowledgement and references. I would like to link the climate change and control, weather change and control, the change in weather conditions over a long period of time, and the power to control the climate change as per the sustainable environmental, molecular, biological environment. And weather change, the change in weather variations in temperature, humidity, and air movement, water movement, land movement. These are all very important parameters. The short variations, that is weather change and control. So climate as well as weather both have the various impacts, especially environmental health impacts on the plant science and molecular biological environment. Plant science and molecular biology environment, which are the study and check of plants in molecular levels, which focus function process. Function and process. Is a function means it is a product approach, and process means it is a process approach, interaction, interrelation, and interactions, the environment and sustainability. And this involves analyzing the plants like photosynthesis, metabolism, genetic manipulation. For example, genetically modified color seed cotton, which is one of the projects which I have undertaken. Genetically modified color cotton, seed color cotton, seed cotton, color cotton. Naturally pigmented dyes, proteins that regulate stress and strain and improve the crop productivity and efficiency, as well as the quality, degree of excellence, as well as the sustainability and climate resilience. As I told about the climate change, weather conditions. The investigations are done in the field of biotechnology, plant breeding, and seed cotton and naturally pigmented color cottons. And this is the seed cotton, and which are grown. And if any foreign matter include in this lint cotton, which is a serious problem because it is organic materials. If any foreign materials like chrome composite leather clad rollers, which are in the environment and in the roller process, as well as the dye catching properties. So definitely this organic material will have impacts. For example, you can just see this is the color cotton, naturally pigmented color cotton. And the seed cotton, which is ginned in the seed cotton, in this ginning machine. The lint separated and seed separated. For example, this seed cotton, this is called seed cotton, and this is called lint cotton. This is a lint. So this is a ginning machine that is separating the cotton fiber and seed. The double roller ginning machine, single roller ginning machines. In 1920, the ginning machines were developed. The roller material which was used is called the leather clad rollers. Chrome composite leather clad roller. Presently, which is being used in our country, is a chrome composite leather because it is a foreign matter. Any material which is not relevant to seed cotton, foreign matter, is a serious problem. So, for example, the seed cotton, which is ginned in this machine, and this roller, which is an important element of the cotton ginning process, and this washers, they are made up of chrome composite in our country. But in USA and UK, they never use this chrome composite. They use this walrus, as well as innovative materials called the rubberized cotton fabric rollers. And lint cotton separated. You can just see this lint cotton. This is called lint cotton after separating the seed from the seed cotton from these machines. Now I am showing this particular curve, what is called the Streeter-Philip oxygen sag curve. Streeter-Philip oxygen sag curve is a very famous, the climate effects. We can see the climate change, weather change, variations, and the pollution, air pollution, water pollution, and the land degradation, land pollution, everything. This particular curve, what you see, this called dissolved oxygen, DO, versus the distance, time. So, for example, if you just see this particular curve, is they have the two part. One is called deoxygenation and reaeration. Why I am explaining this? Because this is very much relevant to the molecular biology and plant environment. Because when plant environment is there, is sustainable. So this oxygen sag is sustainable. Oxygen sag also should be sustainable. Sag means it is declining. Oxygen sag means reducing the oxygen level from the atmosphere or from the plant, from the water, from the soil environment, etc. And deoxygenation and reaeration. Reaeration means again adding the air, amount of oxygen available in the air, again into the plant environment. So the deoxygenation and reaeration is being taken place simultaneously in the air environment, water environment, and the land environment, which is sustainable plant microbiology and molecular environment. And what is the EHIA, Environmental Health Impact Assessment? Environmental impact assessment and environmental health impact assessment, they have the difference, because it's only environmental health. The environmental health means is a molecular environment or the plant microbiology environment. It has, the plant also has the psychological effects, physiological impacts. If you take the Tulsi plant, it has a psychological and physiological impacts. Why? Because the deoxygenation, as the climate change take place or the weather changes take place, so the DO, dissolved oxygen, temperature variations, and the climate change, the change in weather conditions. See, over 250 years, the temperature increased 1.1 degree centigrade, from 13.9 to 14.1 degree centigrade. And the net radiating force, that is 1.5 to 2 watt per meter square per degree centigrade. And the climate sensitivity factor alpha is 0.5 degree centigrade per watt per meter squared. So they have the impacts on the molecular environment, plant microbiology and plant. So we need to investigate the various aspects like stress and strain. Molecular environment has stress and strain. And the objectives of this particular research is to identify the environmental health problems existing with the presently used cotton roller ginning process in our country, and design the eco-friendly technology which is the need of the hour. So this is a seed cotton, how it is being ginned in the roller ginning process, which is called McCarthy principle. Holding the fiber and remove the seed from the seed cotton, and hold the seed and remove the fiber from the seed cotton is called saw ginning, the reverse process. And why I am relating this environmental pollution prevention safe methods for environmental health impact assessment, because pollution should be prevented or reduced at the source in an environmental health safe manner. I mean, the various air pollution, water pollution, and land effects has considerable impacts on the plant environment. And it should be, as far as possible, the eco-friendly methods, plant materials and microbiological methods, there should be eco-friendly methods. And the environmental health impact assessment inventories and identification for the EHIA impacts and existing EHIA conditions, PHAA standards, impact predictions, and impact significance, and incorporation of the mitigation measures. For example, psychological impact assessment, PHIA. Psychological means the plant has psychological impacts. Don't think, sir, what you are telling about psychological impacts. Yes, plant also has psychological impacts. Physiology, plant psychology. Tulsi, for example, Tulsi plant has psychological impact assessment. So psychological impact assessment is very important aspect in this EHIA process, which is conducted systematically by means of process approach model, hybrid approach model. Hybrid means product approach and process approach. See, most of the plant biological environment, especially the color growing of the seed cotton and the pest affected and the inorganic materials present in the seed cotton, they have considerable impacts on the climate change and they have the impacts on the health environment. It is including the human and health. Right from the human means it is like x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, dermal, absorption in the stomach, and oral and lung effects. So 3 types of effects, health effects take place. So that is why this process approach model, which I have shown here, they have the both approach, which is called effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness means the ability of the plant and microbiological environment to achieve the desired result. But efficiency means it is output by input is equal to efficiency, where loss could be controlled. So process approach and product approach. The first one is product approach. It is quantitative model and qualitative model. So both models are integrated in this project, plant microbiological environment, so that this H index of this model is sustainable. It is maximum quantitative as well as maximum qualitative. If the plant environment is only grown in the quantitative method, it is simply window dressing. How we are doing the window dressing without any credibility. And if the molecular plant biological environment only grown in the qualitative manner without quantitative, that is also is having considerable impacts. So that is called credibility, but quantity is lacking there. So quantity and quality both are concerned. That is effectiveness and efficiency both are concerned in this plant biological and the molecular environment, so that it is sustainable for the sustainable development. So what sustainable development is? The development that meets the needs of the present generations without compromising the ability and efficacy of future generations in order to meet their own needs. So seed cotton, what we develop here is a lint cotton and seed separated. You can just see this is seed and lint separated. But how much loss is there? This is a loss. Do we consider the loss? No. In this particular plant environment, we do not consider the loss. Why we are not considering? Because the laboratory investigations, GRED, that is gin roller experimental device, laboratory investigations have been made systematically to improve the quantity and quality, so that this crop production, productivity, quality, as well as the sustainability take place. It is called environmental health impact assessment, EHIA. EHIA means it is systematic identification of the environmental health effects, impacts of the proposed projects, molecular projects or plant biology projects, and the physical environment, chemical environment, biological health environment. As I already showed this Sitter-Philip oxygen sag model, oxygen depletion, oxygen reaerations, and nitrogen aeration and nitrogen reaeration, nitrogen depletion in plants, and how these have the contaminations. It's called molecular contaminations. Though it is called invisible, molecular aspects, invisible contaminations. Due to the continuous dust producing grinding action, the roller contaminates the cotton lint. The lint cotton get contaminated, and how this has effects on the human organs on XY axis, dermal, lung effects, and the esophagus, or absorption in the stomach. Three routes: oral, absorption in the stomach, and lung effects. So in order to make the sustainable biological environment, we need to follow the first point, that is climate sensitivity factor alpha and net radiating force. The first one, what is called the eco-friendly methods. The eco-friendly methods have been investigated, is recommended. And these are the various process, how it is undertaken. The used rollers which are used in this cotton ginning process, after it contaminates, invisible contamination only, it is not visible, it is invisible contaminations, and the various molecular bio is air pollution. This has a considerable air pollution. Air pollution models have been submitted. Air pollution means it is a pollution, more contaminants present in the air, one or more contaminants present in the air that have considerable health impacts. Environmental health impacts, EHIA. For example, I told about the psychological disasters, psychological impacts for the plant and molecular environment. If psychological impacts not controlled, so it means it is having lack of quality. Quantity is there in the plant environment. In horticultural as well as the cotton ginning or agricultural process, we have only quantity but not quality, because that have considerable impacts on the quality aspects. So what is the reason? If you ask, it is climate change and control. What is the present particular climate is 1.1 degree centigrade, and the net radiating force is 2.5 to 3 watt per meter square per degree, watt per degree centigrade per meter square, and alpha net radiating force, and alpha climate sensitivity factor, weather sensitivity factor. So these are all particularly used in this model, that is the environmental optimization model in Streeter-Philip oxygen SAG model, and found what is the dissolved oxygen present in the plant environment, molecular environment, and make it is a sustainable plant environment. Because if it is not concerned about this particular parameters, what will happen? It will not be sustainable plant environment. It's unsustainable only. So we make it sustainable. So for sustainability and the environment, we have to consider the health aspects, plant health aspects. Otherwise, we only concern about the x-axis. Y-axis is naturally it is neglected. Psychological impacts assessment, PHIA, psychological health impact assessment for certain projects that should be added. For example, the cross-functional, functional as well as cross-functional. Functional means it is horizontal. Cross-functional means vertical. So this system approach model, the source is E, sunlight energy, P1, P2, P3, pollution 1, pollution 2, pollution 3, and F1, F2 forcing factors, that is humidity, air movement, temperature, molecular environmental factors, plant biological environmental factors. So all have the effects. P4, it is called the synergy model. Synergy means interaction interrelations. The plant have the interaction interrelations. But when we are not concerned about the interaction interrelations of the plants, so it is only quantitative model. It is not qualitative. Why qualitative? Because the environment and sustainability have not been considered in project planning and decision-making process. For example, I told about the 1970 USA Policy Act, National Environmental Policy Act. Before National Environmental Policy Act 1970, only the plant and molecular biological environment projects considered only the 1E, engineering and economics, and environment has not been considered. But after 1970, they have considered 3 E's: engineering, economics, and environment. So National Policy Act on Environment 1970 was declared the first environmental legislation was enacted in the world in USA. It is called National Environmental Policy Act. Why environmental policy was there? Legislation actions, because the molecular environment has 2 axes. One is x-axis and y-axis. Before 1970, only one axis was concerned. One axis means it is only quantitative. So many effects take place. Photochemical smoke in Los Angeles, climate effects, change in weather conditions, change in the molecular biological conditions, weather conditions, and climate change, all for net radiating force. All these things have concern about the cross-functional model. Now, cross-functional means it is functional and cross-functional. Functional means only horizontal, product approach. Cross-functional means process approach. So after 1970 in USA, they have concern about the National Environmental Policy Act, which is called the Environmental Impact Assessment Process, EIA. Now, in my project, I have concern about the EHIA. The difference between EIA and EHIA both are totally different, because EHIA is a health factor of the plant environment. But in environmental impact assessment legislation in USA have not concerned at all the EHIA, because they are only concerned about the environmental impact assessment: physical, chemical, biological, radioactive, and the social economical environment. But health conditions, Cedar Philip oxygen sag model, re-aeration deoxygenation model, in that I concern about the various aspects of temperature, humidity, air movement, water movement, and land degradations on the plant environment and molecular environment, so that the particular H index of the plant, Hirsch index we call, Hirsch index, have the maximum regime. The regime is successful. I mean, it is having qualitative as well as the quantitative, credibility as well as communication ability. The ability to communicate is called communication ability. The ability to credibility, communication efficiency, and credible efficiency, both sustainable. It is called sustainable molecular biological environment, sustainable plant microbiological environment. For example, we do this particular process in our cotton ginning factory. Is it sustainable? No, it is not sustainable, because they have a lot of foreign matters. Because any seed cotton, lint cotton, we know it is a organic material. But inorganic material is seed cotton ginned in the chrome process. Chrome is a hexavalent chromium and trivalent chromium is a inorganic material. So how inorganic come in the picture? Because it is a molecular unsustainable development. So unsustainable to be made into the sustainable development. For that purpose, we have to replace the rollers which are being used in the cotton ginning process. For example, the investigation takes place in the laboratory model. Laboratory model means it is a gin roller experimentation device. And the first one is inorganic. Second one is organic. Inorganic and organic. As I told, any material in the plant microbiological environment, foreign matter is dangerous. Any material other than the field originating trash. Field originating trash means it is the trash coming from the field, like cotton stalk, leaves, etc. But other than field originating trash means like this rollers. Other than these are the rollers which are used in this cotton ginning industries. They are not field originating trash. They are all the inorganic materials, dangerous. And in order to make it to sustainable molecular biological environment, I conducted this environmental health impact assessment, EHIA, in order to plant environment and molecular environment to concern about the physiological impact assessment as well as psychological impact assessment. As I already told, Tulsi, for example, Tulsi has psychological impacts. If you are not putting water, what will happen? Tulsi will perish because water is not there. Over water perish, unsustainable. So in order to make the plant environment optimum level, it is necessary like photosynthesis, green materials. Green materials means the infrared region. The change in weather conditions take place in infrared regions. That is called the greenhouse gas impact assessment, GHG. Greenhouse gas impacts assessment has been done because it is the environmental health impact assessment, greenhouse gas impacts in the region of infrared region, infrared 1.1 micrometer, 1.2 micrometer, 1.3 micrometer wavelength, lambda, net radiating force 1.5 to 2.5 watt per meter squared per degree centigrade per meter squared. And in that, the molecular environmental as well as the molecular biological environment make it sustainable. For that, greenhouse gas impact assessment has been done. What is the environmental health impact assessment and greenhouse gas impact assessment? Greenhouse gas impact assessment is the assessment which is done in the greenhouse gas. Everybody knows about the greenhouse gas, climate impacts and the weather impacts. Greenhouse gas impact assessment for population multiplied by affluence multiplied by technology, PAT, product approach, PAT into environment and sustainability, population multiplied by affluence, money power, and technology, make it to sustainable technologies like what I am explaining, this environmental health impact assessment process approach. USA EHIA models, USA environmental impact assessment process, Canter, and various policy acts, legislations, projects, various projects, world projects. 3 E's, engineering, economics, environment. Engineering, economics, environment. So the greenhouse gas impact assessment is optimum when we concern about the plant microbiological environment, population, technology, affluence, and environment factors as well as sustainability, ability to make it to sustain for you want to make it to sustain for a long time, the plant biological environment, and make it to color, for example, color cottons, seed cotton developed, the lint cotton developed, natural pigments, dye catching properties. For example, we use in our textile factories the azo dyes and the chromium dyes, VAT dyes, various dyes. They have the inorganic materials. As I already told, any materials in cotton other than the field originating trash is a serious problem. So when we use this eco-friendly methods in dye catching properties in cotton technological, as well as the lint cotton, seed cotton, yarn, and it make it to the sustainable plant environment and sustainable molecular environment, so that the particular process will not have the impacts on the climate change as well as the weather change, because it is presently the IPCC, various measures are being taken, especially the plant microbiology and the molecular environment, so that it make it to the sustainable development. Whatever the development is taken place in the many projects, that make it sustainable, make it a long time, not short time, just to wind up and go. For example, you take Tulsi plant. Tulsi plant, it will be always make it a sustainable long time, because the photosynthesis is there and measurement on water, good water, and air quality, the air pollution models control, air pollution model control, air pollution control, water pollution control, land degradation control, hazardous waste, and the non-hazardous waste control. They are all being controlled in the climate change and control, weather change and control. And this particular project is concerned about the weather change also. Why weather change is there? It is a short-term variation in temperature, humidity, air movement, net radiating force, climate sensitivity factor, weather sensitivity factor alpha, 0.5 degree centigrade per watt per meter squared. So with all this, I would like to conclude by saying the environmental health impact assessment is a new approach, innovative approach in the plant molecular and molecular environment, which is the very key topic which is given to me as a keynote speaker. And I am very, very thankful the Magnus group to make this particular program very successful program. And based on my research work and recommendations, I will definitely coordinate with the Magnus group so that the plant microbiological environment and molecular environment make it successful and sustainable development. Thank you very much.